Hi everyone, my name is Michael Gauthier. I'm the house manager here at the National Arts Centre. Honored to be with you for our first ever resident chef series. Our first chef of the year is Rich Francis. Rich, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Can you give us an idea of what you are doing right now?
Right now what I'm doing is I've taken off my chef's hat, so to speak, and kind of put on a different hat. Been doing a lot of work with Indigenous food sovereignty. All of a sudden, Indigenous food has become very political.
Can you give me a definition of what Indigenous food sovereignty means?
Well, for me, in my own words, I think it gives us the ability to sustain and express ourselves as First Nation people. In the eyes of the Canadian government, I guess since colonialism, I'm not allowed to do what I do. For whatever reason, but I'm finding ways to do it. I'm finding ways to do it that are highly illegal. I face jail sentences and huge fines for serving what I serve.
Right. It's like that's making you political, essentially, even though you're basically expressing
exactly.
Indigenous food sovereignty.
Things like Indigenous food security as well. There's also so many political things that are happening with that as well. Like when we look at climate change, First Nation chefs are in a position to bring awareness to that as well with regenerative agriculture, sustainable eating in the north in Canada. But it's a double-edged sword because you look at the high food costs in the north. It's borderline genocide. And so to do what I do illegally, I'm going to keep doing it.
It's for the right cause.
It is. Not anything with any significance has happened with Indigenous cuisine since probably since colonialism. That's when the significance happens, when everything was taken away and we had to kind of adapt. It's a hot topic right now, but Indigenous food sovereignty, that's one thing I don't want it to become, is trendy. It's not. This is not a trend.
Yeah.
It's
not food.
It's food.
We need to eat.
It's a lifestyle, and I want people to get it. Since all that stuff happened to us, like we're still here, but now we're using these platforms to tell our own stories, and I use my platform to make something new with Indigenous food.
When you think of Turtle Island and you think, foods typical of Turtle Island, what are the ones that pop to your mind? Like,
I guess we have to talk about seal and the politics around that. It's probably the most sustainable thing on the planet, but right now there isn't really a market for it. Because there's really a handful of Indigenous and non-Indigenous chefs that are cooking it. We just don't have the palate for it. And so the hardest thing for me right now is overcoming my own colonized palate.
Haha.
And
that's funny.
Yeah, it's difficult. These artists now are blazing trails. And if you want to lump what I'm doing in that category, fine, because I ultimately do feel alone in what I'm doing. It's a good thing and a bad thing.
All you're making me think of here are all the artists I meet all the time here, because they all feel kind of out of place too.
Exactly.
They all feel out of place too, and every time they put on a show, they're in it. They've devoted themselves to it, but they don't know whether people are going to like it. Every time,
So,
every opening, they deal with that stress and then kind of comfort themselves with the work, with the passion, with the truth of it. And that's what propels them forward. And sometimes it's a gigantic success, but sometimes it isn't. And it doesn't matter. They come back. They keep on going. And something tells me you're like that.
Yeah.
I think that's why I admire you so much, because you just keep on going forward. And but you know what I mean? Like they're going to do Unnatural and Accidental Women up on the stage. There's like 12 of them on stage. They have each other.
Exactly.
You're going to go find those 12 people. And you're finding those 12 people. You're on that path to finding those 12 or 20 or 50 or whatever this is going to become for you. And also you may stay alone in it. But regardless, that engine still just keeps pushing you forward, you know? So anyway, you finished Stratford, and then you said you went to New York. Was that right after Stratford?
No, that was, Toronto. Worked under David Lee. They were number one at the time. So that's where I got my mentality from there. He was my first chef.
How long were you there for?
That was about a year, I guess, and then New York, same thing.
So like, did you just like say, okay, I've
just
been
got
with
my
David
act-
for a year, and
yeah.
then you're like, I got to try something else?
Yeah, pretty much did that. Got crushed every single day. Went to Niagara-on-the-Lake.
So where'd you go in New York? Like, what was it?
Tabla.
Oh, you went to Tabla.
Yeah, yeah. And then
that's
Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Good place.
And then that's when I was working with Jason Parsons, you know, in
Yeah.
the Niagara cuisine. And then went off to Toronto, and that's when I got my, that life-altering moment when I got hit by that car. Should have died. I was a pedestrian.
But you didn't, obviously. Here
I
you are.
didn't, yeah.
Like, how bad were the injuries?
I mean, significant enough to put me up for 6 months. But it was that time
Holy
where
cow.
I couldn't put any weight on my leg, and I wasn't cooking for 6 months. I was losing my mind.
Yeah, no kidding. Because you're super active when you're in the business. You're
You
always
are.
doing something.
You are,
know?
and but then that's when I was forced to look at what I've done, where I've been. I could do all this stuff in my sleep, and then I was like, I got to do something with Indigenous food. Like it's been bugging me since chef school to do it.
So even the strategy, you're like, there's
I knew
something
I
here that
wanted
is not corresponding to what I
Yeah,
want to do.
yeah.
But I mean, of course, learning all the techniques.
They were good. They were great. All the stuff I've learned in restaurants have served me, but everything I do now, I've had to start all over.
Well, you have to undo it.
I did. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think for you especially, you're undoing because it's colonial, all that stuff.
I had to unlearn everything I've learned in order to move forward.
Like, so you're going to start a restaurant soon.
Yeah.
And where's it going to be?
Ganawagi, Quebec.
Which gives
Right
you the
next-
sovereignty you're looking for.
It gives me the sovereignty and the sanctuary.
Right.
It's going to be a unique dining experience. My whole agenda for it is to provide a First Nation dining experience like no other.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, I'm a wine guy too, and Incameep is just a fantastic producer. They make high quality wines. They're consistent.
I think it'd be a sommelier's playground too, to work with all these different
Well, that's the
textures, flavors.
thing. How big do you want your menu to be? Do you know?
Um,
Do you just want to do like a tasting menu every day, or do you
No,
want to do
there's
kind
going
of
to
like,
be a few staples that we're
Okay.
going to have like for each season, but for the most part, the menu's going to change a lot.
yeah, well, totally.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
so-
I would imagine it would change so much just with the hunt.
With that also too, and just I become stagnant really fast.
You
And
get
it-
bored. You get bored quickly.
Very easily. If I
Yeah.
repeat flavors more than once, that's enough for me. But I do want to bring it back into the restaurant, some of these dishes that we're doing while we're filming. And,
So in case I love something the first time I go,
yeah.
there's like a 50-50
We'll have
chance
to
it'll be
write it
there the
down.
second
Yeah,
time.
You have to write it down.
That's
and let me know, you know?
That's right. You actually have to take note and then send you a message before I come again, type
Yeah.
of thing.
So, but again, that is I want it to be that kind of elusive, dark, really sexy kind of vibe with the food, and to the fact that the chance that you'll ever have that again, it's very fleeting.
It's
You know,
it's
so-
unlikely.
yeah.
You know, like there's something, like I mean, you mentioned it yesterday. There's something like, you know, you say sexy. It's something raw. There's something kind of, like I just feel it's optimistic for some reason. Something about your offer that is optimistic for me in that I feel like I'm definitely going to try something I've never tried before.
Exactly. What you're going to be able to do is, say you and your partner go out and you get a moose and you want to bring those ribs. Well, we're going to send a bunch of stuff to your table, bring it to the restaurant, we'll do it. We'll do it while you're waiting.
That's right. That's right. You've actually got that
That's that sanctuary. to
that
be able to do
freedom
that.
to do that.
So you got some ducks you got, bring them to the cooks, we'll do it up, but we're going to send some stuff to your table. Just hang tight.
That's cool.
And we'll do
That is very cool. So yeah, there's that whole takeaway component you can do.
So again, basically, these are going to be once-over dishes with whatever's available, what you bring into the restaurant, and just kind of let the seasonality execute the dinner.
that seems to put a lot of weight on you, though.
I love it. I know when I did Top Chef really embraced my cooking style.
Yeah,
We'll make it happen.
yeah.
We'll make it happen.
What else is Seventh Fire Hospitality doing?
Seventh Fire Hospitality, we got a cookbook coming out. It's called Born Again Savage,
Good
which
title.
actually takes a stab at colonialism, and also it's a cookbook memoir from basically my time in Vancouver, where things weren't always that positive.
Right.
Takes a look at Indigenous food, where it is now, and forecasting into the future. I do a lot of cooking for reconciliation workshops. So it's meant to be as an introduction. Something that's happening with the kids, especially in the urban centers, is that they're tasting these native foods for the first time, and boom, a light goes off in them, and they don't know where it's coming from. You see it, and it happens in silence. And I think it has a lot to do with our food DNA and our indigenous food pathways, and that's now started that cycle. Because you'll hear their voices and they're like, this reminds me of something, but I don't know what it is. So that's what gets that fire going. And but then you also, with some elders, like I shared yesterday, it also sparks another fire that's rooted in trauma, and it brings them back to that point in time. And sometimes it can be hard. Like we're not just cooking. Like we're identifying. And it's multicultural. It's not limited to First Nation people. It's for everybody. I think it's every Canadian's responsibility. But this is my contribution because it's the only thing I know.
I think you're a really courageous person. I think you're courageous in terms of what you're presenting, even though I think it's rooted in something that is ancient in you. I think it takes courage to say cougar, whale, all of these things that have, in my culture, can be considered as taboos.
Yeah.
And then basically by you touching those things and transforming those things, it transforms my taboos about them too.
That's the whole idea. Like I never go out to personally kill a cougar. It's there out of, it's just by chance. If we look at the things that sustained us through all the cultural genocide, and we focus on some positives, then maybe we can carve out a new identity, a new culinary identity in Indigenous foods.
There's something about the way you're doing this that is getting me, like it's coming in me. And yet I'm like, I'm not of this culture, but it's speaking to something else,
Well, if you can take pieces of that and apply it.
Well, that's also what's great about working here. That's what artists do.
Yeah.
They kind of like rattle your cage and make you feel and think things a little differently, and like you're that for me.
Thank you, man.
Thanks,
Right
bud.
on, man.
Appreciate it.